Hello everyone, Namaste. Welcome to another episode of our Growth Fit interview series brought to you by CustomFit.ai. My name is Ashwini. I am the growth engineer at CustomFit.ai. It helps B2B companies to convert website traffic into quality leads by dynamically changing website content and CTAs based on user personas and past behavior. It's a no-code platform for marketers to dynamically create hyper-personalized experiences to lift convergence. I'm really excited for this session today. Today we will talk about account deep. We will deep dive into account-based marketing. As our guest today is currently working with Ivalua as a global ABM program manager. She's Maria Edlefsen.
Hi,
Uh,
nice to meet you.
I hope I spelled out your last name correctly, Maria.
Yeah, you did. It's a difficult one,
Yeah.
so I don't blame you if there's any mistake, but it looked perfect.
Thanks. So Maria is joining us from Copenhagen, Denmark, and as I said, she is currently working with the Ivalua, as a global ABM program manager. So Ivalua takes care of spend management, e-procurement, e-invoicing, invoice management, strategic sourcing, contract management, and cloud procurement, etc. It is a single platform for all spend and all suppliers, right, Maria?
Yes, it's true. We have a one integrated code, so it's single code, single source. Really, really cool because it makes it really easy to implement and to adapt to these big organizations who all have very different needs and very different problems to solve in their supply chain.
Right. That's great. And let's just start the session. We would love to hear about your journey, like when growing up on playground, many kids have vision about being doctor, athletes, teachers, engineers, etc. No one usually said when I grow up I want to be a marketer or salesperson, blah blah blah. What was your career dream when you were younger, and how did you find your way into marketing? Like, what do you love about what you are doing today?
Well, it's completely true what you say. I didn't dream about becoming a marketeer. It was animal doctor, pediatrist, things like that. Um, and honestly, until I was very old, 17, 18, when Denmark, you choose your education, I didn't really know what I wanted to be. So I actually chose an education in Denmark that gives you 8 different subjects that you can play around and you can, are you into philosophy? Are you into mathematics? Are you into communication? And I have always been good with words and people and communication and planning. So that sort of felt natural to go into that. So my education before becoming a marketeer is one of communication and business communications. And then I had
Yes.
like a side thing of British old literature, reading Chaucer, which I've never used for anything, but I just really really liked it. um,
Sometimes you like some experiences are you may feel that it didn't help you or it didn't count an experience, but yes, it counts in personality, definitely.
it really did, yeah, and it helped me to read really difficult material. Anyone who's read Chaucer and is not a native British person will know that it's like deciphering old hieroglyphs or something like that. So it helped with the discipline. I came out from university. I graduated university in a time in Denmark where there wasn't a lot of jobs. It was very difficult to get jobs. And then someone in my network found me a position where I had to create content marketing platform. So that was for a company called Economic, and what they really wanted to do, they really wanted to make their users the heroes, and they wanted to support and help the users. So we made a content marketing platform where we only made content very relevant for these users and not focused on selling. But as a by result of that, of course, people came to our website and gained that interest in the product. So that was my first 4 years in the business and my first two kids in the business. Uh,
Okay.
yeah. So 4 years of working on with kids, I guess a total of kind of 6 years. And as I
And
was
it's a
working,
different experience. It might be an experience. It is an experience you cannot explain. You just have to experience it.
yeah, exactly, exactly. You have to live it to know what it's like. And of course, as you stay in a job for 4 years, it evolves. And our company was purchased by a bigger company, and they implemented a real like marketing department. And I was moved to the marketing department because I worked with content, and we got some great people in who saw talent, even when I wasn't convinced about my own talent. They sort of saw it and gave me responsibilities, and I ended up taking responsibility for some of the Danish market, some of the Swedish market, and even some of the Spanish market. And that's when,
Interesting.
yeah, it was really interesting. And that's also the first time in my life when that sort of happened that I was ever headhunted for a position. So Basware, which was my next employer, they sort of headhunted me, and I became part of a team working for a procurement tool in Denmark with full responsibility for the Danish market and Nordics Digital. And it was a really fun experience because I joined a team of around 23 people, and we were
Wow.
only two women in the office. So that was a
That's that's again a different experience.
very different
And
experience. Yeah.
and please tell us something about your current company, like how this helps in spend management and e-procurement, and what all things are going on in your marketing team currently. Like,
Yeah, so
what do
I
you do?
switched to Ivalua, which is a new company. They have great spirit. I mean, we work fast, we work efficiently, they're very professional, and also it's a very positive can-do attitude. So I'm very happy to have joined. It's a French hybrid between a French and a US company, so they have offices in France headquarters and then in US as well. And it's just a really interesting place to be because it's a fantastic product that
Wow.
we're able to implement in great organizations to help them structure their supply chain, to help them um, master maverick spend. And the unique thing about it is that it is single source code, so you don't have as many of the complications you would have if you are implementing other systems, and it's easy to adapt, which means that we are very fast on delivery as well, and we're very fast on personalization. So it's very interesting to be in this company, especially since we're kind of a new company. So one of the things that we're struggling with is, of course, brand awareness in some regions and brand recognition, which is always a good challenge for a marketeer, but also a really fun place to be, especially when sort of the awareness picks up and people start becoming interested in your product. Yeah.
Like I really liked one thing about your product is it is easy to use. Like uh, the person who is going to use this product is maybe a different kind of profile. So it is really important in that segment that the product is user friendly. So I think
Yeah.
that's the best thing you have.
Yeah, I really like that too. It's not like you have to have, like 3 months of introduction to use the tool or like school sessions, things like that. So I like it's pretty intuitive as well. So it's a fun thing to work with, to be honest. Yeah.
That's great. And like account-based marketing, which is all we can say key account marketing, is a strategic approach to business marketing based on account awareness, in which an organization, like your organization, considers and communicates with individual prospects. Am I correct? And or customer accounts as a markets of one. So, what strategy you follow to understand your ideal customer profile?
Yeah, it's been an interesting journey, and it is an interesting journey because I came from region responsibility. So I was responsible for the Nordic region, and I've just recently this year moved into a global role. And it's my responsibility to ensure that we all have the same foundation for understanding our ICP and for setting up the programs that we run. But we have very talented field marketing managers who also have, their methodic ways and their framework. And they are, of course, the experts in their region. So sometimes we have to adapt and adjust to understand the different regions. But we are very data driven. So we, of course, base most of our ICP on our access to intent data, whether it's third-party intent data or if it's our own data, where we do behavior scoring, where we follow accounts to see which ones would think that we were relevant, because this is, of course, also about being relevant to prospects and contacting them when they think we're relevant. So that's a big part of it. Another thing that we're doing is we're planning in regions. Like you said, it's about targeting specific accounts, and we have the biggest accounts in mind. So that means by per market, it's going to be not, 1,000 companies that we're able to target. It's
My
going to
goodness.
be, yeah, shorter lists. So, finding a way to prioritize accounts and finding the accounts that are now in market, that's the big challenge. Yeah.
Definitely. Like sometimes there is another challenge where you don't have much accounts, and it's a different challenge when you have more and more accounts, bunch of accounts, and you need to prioritize them correctly. So that one step becomes really important when it comes to results, when it comes to your performance. This is just I'm seeing in perspective of fellow marketers which are diving into this marketing world.
Yeah, and I mean,
I think that's the first step we
it
should
is
learn.
supposed to. It definitely is. And then you have the always when you're working in big companies, you have the the sort of software mapping where you get your data from, and quite often you have systems that are not fully integrated, or like where you need to find a way to integrate them. So I think it's also really important that you map out the tool set that you have, the output of the tool set, and you find if there's any places where you need to bridge the tools in order to get a 360 view of the data, and in order to not have to build processes where you have to update a million things, because that's when it gets tough, right? If you have to update 700 spreadsheets and you have to, load in lists every week to make the system work, that's when it becomes too heavy. Yeah.
And what practices do you use to research more about your accounts, especially their buying cycles?
Well, it's very different again from region to region. We have, of course, software where we use the campaigns to gauge the intent. Some also work with consultancy agencies or partners to map it out. It depends on where we have very strong partner relationships. Another thing that we do is, of course, we monitor online, and we sort of string that into sessions, and then we follow the thought leadership. So I would say it's a matrix of a lot of channels that we sort of set up to drive this framework. And that's also the hard part about it. It has to be, a framework of a lot of things. Yeah.
Uh, and like, I just wanted to know about techniques you use to draw their attention. Like, you have researched about your ideal customer profiles
Oh, okay,
and
yeah.
you have accounts. Then, how do you prospect and how do you draw their attention to
We
your
use also
maybe
different
website or your brand
Yeah,
or
it can
brand?
be everything from personalized URLs. It can be, social media. We can do native advertising. We can do native advertising with an ABM twist where we pick out specific accounts. We do IP programmatic. Yeah, and we of course tie it all into a specific journey. So, like if we're working with accounts that are top of funnel, we will start working with the top of funnel channels. If we have mid funnel, we will work with maybe ABM based events, ABM based white papers, personalization on white papers, on landing pages. If we're at the bottom of the funnel, maybe we'll work with value sessions, we'll work with one-to-one events. We'll personalize demos, things like that. So you have like these different things you can do on the each level, but we do use a lot of different channels to put the awareness out there. We do use a lot of different strategies. And then it's important that, of course, when we put these together, we have the tracking in place between all of the methodologies that we use. Yeah.
That's nice. As you said, that ABM requires a lot of personalization. This is what my take is. And according to what extent this personalization is practical? Like, it would be a great experience for us, learning experience for us to hear some examples from you. Like, how far do you encourage your team to include personalization to? To what degree?
Yeah, so it's a hard balancing act because, of course, you don't want to be scary. Like, hey, we saw you on our page. And then again, I think reality is also moving. You know, sometimes you get to these websites where you are on the contact us page and then you leave the contact us page and you'll get an email, hey, we saw you on the contact us page. Can we help you? So I think you can personalize to that degree if you're really, really smart about it and if you're really polite about it, if it's helpful to the customer. And I would go, to great lengths to do that if possible. Um, but again, I think it's all about finding the relevance points for the customers. It's not about like you have this and this revenue, we see you have this and this many employees. I mean, they know that that's not really relevant for them.
Mhm.
And probably, hopefully, they know that we know that as well.
I
So
think
it's more,
this, sorry to interrupt. I think this is the common mistakes people do. Like, you have this revenue and you have this much employees. This is a common mistake somebody does in this personalization or emailing, I would say.
yeah,
Like,
I think so too.
this has to be, yes,
Yeah,
avoided.
because it doesn't really tell them anything about how you want to help the company, right? Or like, do you know kind of the challenges that they have right now? What are the projects they are starting to implement? So that would be the kind of knowledge that we're digging after, like this C-level guy, has he implemented any projects? What's his vision? How does he want his organization to work, to look like, to be set up? And can we match that? Can we support that? Can we help that in any way? And how do we visualize that we're able to?
Right. And any tool, like, have you used any tool so far in recent times for this
Yeah,
personalization, or are you on
I mean, we do quite a bit of fun things. I mean, we have some big intent data tools. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to mention which ones exactly we have, but we use them ongoingly. Then I'm a big fan of doing, small upcoming tools, testing them. It can be something as simple as implementing a tool like Calendly on your
right?
website. I think a lot of companies are not doing that, and it's the 10 emails back and forward. When would you be able to meet? I have a meeting at 4 o'clock. I can't do this. Can we move? Are we talking Eastern European Standard Time? And all you have to do is set up a Calendly link and you can implement it, and it's a nice, smooth user journey, and they can plan from their calendar to your calendar. I think even personalization things like this that adds an extra service and removes some of the hassle is actually pretty relevant and really important to think about.
Right. That's a valuable one. Like, I want to come to your one of your podcast, Maria. Like, in a podcast, you explained about the whole process, how it goes from prospecting, then qualified leads, and whether it is a sales qualified lead or a marketing qualified lead, whom you take up as a task and approach them, and then continuous follow-ups to close. Like this is the process, and you explained it really really well. Like it was a really valuable information for anyone. So no doubt it takes a lot of efforts and time. But can you please emphasize on some points in this whole journey that one can't get in books, and it comes with the experience, definitely. So, can you share some of your experiences, how you started when you joined the company? What all?
I lost you. Am I live? I don't know.
Yes, Maria. Like looks like the Ashwini's all got on a like yeah, that's the reality of the video conferencing these days. So
Yeah, sometimes it happens. I'm
yeah,
used to
actually, I work for a company called Blue Jeans Network. It's a video conferencing company like Zoom. Recently, that was taken over by Verizon. Like I joined there as a founding team member for Blue Jeans. Like almost 8 years I was in that company. I was believing that audio, like video conferencing, is as close as the natural call, but still there is a lot of back and forth which is happening.
Yeah, yeah, it still
That's true.
happens, and even if you're on, like you experience a lot of different things in your time online.
True.
Yeah.
Hi, Ashwini. Yeah. Over to you guys.
Hi. I lost a network. So, was my question on, like, when
I got the
before the
question.
network on?
Yeah, I
Okay.
Yeah.
got the question. Yeah, so some things I think you can only learn from experience is that when you start planning ABM, sometimes people will go into the marketing depths and like do their marketing plan. But one of the most important foundations is the way that you share data and the way that you work with data across the sales team, across sales enablement, business development, or sales development team. So the first thing I did when I came into Ivalua was to look at the data we had on the accounts that we wanted to target and have all of the sales team enrich that data and figure out what do we need to know about these accounts to make them a good sales pitch, and to find out if they're within our sweet spot. So like sweet spot industries, of course, but what else do we need to know? And we sat down with the sales team and we mapped out, okay, we want to know what are their challenges. We want to know how is their supply chain organized? Is it global? Is it local? And then I sat down and made a plan to try and get all of this information from credible sources. So whether it was surveys, consultants, whether it was implementing some of these questions in our form submits to sort of start enriching this framework for them. So that's definitely one thing I will recommend, to have that framework going with the sales team and really always pull in the sales team, because they will always know what's going on. They will always be able to see if the technology landscape that you sort of decided or like found out that an account has is it the right one? And they will also be the one who knows, okay, but we don't want to just look at their technology landscape. We want to understand what are their challenges from their technology landscape. That would be one thing that's worked really well for me. And then of course it's always to get yourself familiar with the technical tools that you have available. I think many marketeers think of them as being the marketing function, and then you have someone doing web design, and you have someone doing emails, you have someone doing something else. You have tools that do this and that, and people are responsible for them. But the more you understand all of the tools and what they can do and how to work them around you, whether it's designing land pages, options on landing pages, how HubSpot works, how your CRM can integrate to things, how you can draw data out, how you can pivot data, that would be like, use time to get to know the tools, and use time getting to know to work how to work with Excel. Yeah.
When it is coming to website, I just have one query, like one question. What are some tricks that you use for the customer to stay on your website or digital asset before before they click on the call to action?
Yeah. So, for me, I probably have a bit of a weird view on landing pages and websites, to be honest. So for me, the more simple a website is, and I have to say this is my personal, um, how do you say, my personal feeling about this. I'm not in charge of the website at Ivalua, only my landing pages. Uh, but my feeling is the more simple, the better. And you have to think about when this, prospect lands on this site, what you want them to do, and then that's the option you have to offer, and not a million other options, like, well, we also want to tell them about this, we also want to tell them about this. They should also see this because we think it's relevant. But I think it's very important to steer the customer journey. So if you map out what you want them to do, then that's the only thing that should be possible for them to do. So that's my most important kind of UX thing on landing pages, and
Yeah,
maybe even on
that's
websites.
unique. That's
Yeah,
unique.
but it's also because I think today, websites are becoming more of a business card. I mean, you could drive a huge business without having a website if you had one landing page with contact, because basically all of your information could be on social media, it could be on many landing pages, it could be in blogs, it could be on product review pages. You could work, you know, 200% in optimizing the environment around your landing page. And maybe that might even be more effective than optimizing on your big website all the time. But I guess there might be some search engine optimization people out there who would want to discuss this. So maybe feel the same and maybe don't feel the same. But that's the way I feel, you know?
And like I want to come to opposite part of this thing. Like suppose someone posts a negative review on a company's Facebook or LinkedIn page, or maybe another medium. So, what is Maria's way to handle it?
Oof. Well, I used to, in the beginning of my job, I had the content kind of hub that I did, and it was with commentary section. And it was a very difficult thing because, there were many discussions and you had to monitor the way people spoke and you had to be an admin and you had to sort of, um, you get very careful about what you did. And,
That's really challenging job.
it's really, really challenging.
It's easy to approach someone to convince, yeah, this is my product and this is what are the feature is, but somebody says that this is not working out for us, this is not in the way what it should be, then to convince them it is more difficult.
It's so difficult. And, I'm so impressed by people who handle social media on political wings, like that has to watch out what is how they do that. I'm so impressed by it. But because it was a difficult job, they actually put in training for me and for the entire organization, on how to handle it. And of course, and I very much agree, it's about understanding the customer's frustration, about being polite at all times, and it's
And
about
patient.
and patient. And if you can't answer the question yourself, it's better to be flawsome and own up to it and say, I'm not the right person to answer this question. This is a complex question and then find the right person for people to talk to. I think the worst thing you can do is play an expert online. I mean, I'm very aware that I don't know a lot of things, and I'm very aware that my view on websites today, not a lot of people may share it. Maybe people might even think I'm wrong. I'm not an expert. It's just, my opinion. Yeah.
So, did you have some kind of content ready with you? Like if something comes up, so you have the content and strategies ready with you. Like you have plan ready with you to handle it. Is it the way?
Well, sometimes you do. I mean, for some companies, it's very good to have an FAQ. It's good to know at least who the stakeholders are. So I don't think you have to have a set plan, but I think you have to know who are the main stakeholders, who answer which type of questions, where do you escalate to, and how to answer politely. So I think that's the most important part. And then I think the worst part you can do if people leave in a review, whether it's good or bad, is not respond.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And so you were working in this industry for so long. So what is your take about marketing and growth?
What do you think about? Sorry, I didn't hear your last word.
Uh, like you are working in SaaS industry for so long. So what is your take about SaaS industry, like SaaS marketing and growth?
Yeah, I like working in SaaS. It's funny as you say, it's not what I expected to do when I was a kid. I didn't really imagine me being, one woman and 25 men doing software and financial and supply chain and Um, so it's definitely not the route I was planning, but I really enjoy working here. I feel like I have something to offer. If I worked in a very creative business, then everyone would be creative. But I work in a less creative business, and I'm creative and data driven. So that means that I have new options, new things to offer, new things that we can try and implement. Um, Bringing that growth hacking aspect into to big um, companies. And then I just think it's really interesting, cloud software is, yeah, you have a lot of opportunities and yeah, I'm just comfortable in it. But I guess since it's been my niche market for a long time, the first job I had was cloud software as a service, and I've been in the industry ever since. So maybe it's also just a matter of me being comfortable now.
And maybe that's the reason, like my next question, like we faced a lot of situations, good or bad, since 2020. So, not wrong. When you joined Ivalua, like it was just start of the pandemic situation, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was in Ivalua
Yeah.
for 4 months and I managed to travel to France and to the UK before everything shut down. So I didn't meet many of my colleagues in person. I'm still waiting to meet a lot of them in person. But I will say, I think people have been really good at taking care of each other. They've been, listening if people had a need for us to do something together online that was not work related. It's been arranged. If you want to call someone just because you need to talk to them, they're very open about it. And they're very open about, we're in a new situation. You have kids home. We don't expect you to be able to do everything all at once in this confusing time. So that's one of the things I love most about iValue as the people who run it and build it. It's a very human organization. They're very good at taking care of the people working there. So yeah, that makes me very happy, and it's something that's very important to me when I pick where I want to
Uh,
work. Yeah.
I would say that's the same case with us. Like I am really comfortable with custom fit, and I can say I can raise my hand anytime that I need this help. I need this thing. We are really flexible. So everyone is supporting, and I would say it's our journey. It's not someone particular, one specific journey.
Yeah. Yeah, and people have different
Uh,
needs.
we are also enjoying. Definitely, thanks. Yes, and with kids, it must have been the case with me now. But yeah, I can understand. My
Yeah.
my my friends are going in the same situation.
The funny thing is, it changes
Uh,
personalities. I used to, when I took, work profiles or like personality test, I used to be, how do you say, extrovert. But now I'm 56%
Okay.
introvert.
That's nice. I really glad to hear about that. Like, and what growth plans you have in the new normal situation, like just changed situation?
For the company or for me, growth plans.
Yes, for both one.
The company is ambitious. I feel like we have a chance to help companies as well. You know, one of the major things affected during the crisis was supply chain. So we have a lot of opportunities to help and to figure out what was the biggest challenges and find a way to support big companies on these challenges. So we definitely have a huge opportunity, and the growth targets has not become any smaller. And I guess it's the same sort of for me on a personal level. You had a lot of time to sort of think about what do you want when the world closes down, where do you want to go, what do you want to leave behind. So I think everyone has used this time to sort of regroup and maybe even become even more ambitious because yeah, COVID sort of held you back for a period, didn't it?
And what is your growth plan like? Uh,
Yeah, but I want to learn all the time. I want to learn. I want to connect with people who ask good questions like I'm connecting with you today. I want to know how are other people handling the challenges I have in my day-to-day work. Are there other, SaaS women in marketing out there in companies all full of men, which is wonderful. Like it was never a problem to me, but like what would it be like to talk to those women? What have they learned? I mean, so definitely I'm ambitious. I want to right now I'm in marketing. I'm learning about account-based marketing. I know about, sales and sales strategy, but then, you want to know more about business development, or you want to know more about how
right, right.
does, yeah, C-level navigate, the metrics of all of the priorities they have to sort of figure out which way to go all the time. Yeah. So I'm trying to
And
learn.
coming to the last question, like last two questions, Maya. First is, as you said, data is really important. You are data driven. So, what is your secret formula to design any kind of campaign? So, what data points? How do you decide the data points?
Well, it's different from campaign to campaign, but really when I start doing a marketing strategy, I like on company level, you have a mission statement. So I always make a mission statement for myself. Like, I want to,
Right.
yeah, like I want to drive leads that are like relevant, or like I make a mission statement and then I have that decide everything else I do. So if it's not relevant, if it's not benefiting clients, if it's not, inclusive, then I won't do it. So that's one thing. And then when you look at the data points, of course, if you have the 360 views, you would base it on the ones that are, like pinging, the hotspots of data points. And again, it depends. If you're top funnel, then you would look at something different. If you looked at bottom funnel, so it could be everything from history of interaction to how many times do they click. It really depends on where they're at in the funnel. But that would be also my sort of suggestion to everyone to be aware of where they are in the funnel. Is it an awareness campaign? Is it, what are we trying to do? So it has to be connected to the result.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Like, any kind of suggestion for the fellow marketers out there, our global audience.
Yeah, well, when I worked in one of my first jobs. There were two things that sort of stuck with me. One thing was to draw out the entire campaign, draw it out in process and in yes and no. And what happens if they get this email, they click, what happens then? If they don't click, what happens? And make this entire system, because it makes you able to put in buckets to collect leads and to think out the entire process. And if you have something top funnel that you can reuse bottom funnel, or something bottom funnel that can lead up to top funnel assets, So definitely do the mapping would be one of my biggest recommendation. And the second one is I had a leader who was very good at people development. And he always said to me, if you have a success, if you do something that makes a difference, put it on LinkedIn right away. Because in half a year, when you want to update your LinkedIn, you've forgotten your success. So I do that. And I think everyone should do that.
I think that's the my take of this session. Like first one is what you just suggested now, and second one I really like that mission part. So that's might be a hack for anyone, I would say. When you're searching or prospecting, that's kind of information what strikes you like is this the perfect match or not? I really liked that mission part. So
Thank
going
you.
to the company's mission and it matches or not.
Yeah, exactly. So how do we
Uh,
match it up?
right. And coming to the last question, Maria, who is your mentor in this marketing world? Like
Yeah, I
whom
thought
you
a lot
look up?
about it. So I've been lucky enough to work in a few places where there've been, fantastic, fantastic people around me, and I try to collect those people. And sometimes I collect them further down the road, but I have a couple of people who I look up to. So I have a guy named Lauri Palonkangas, who's the CMO of Efficode, who is one of the most enlightened people I know. He knows everything about everything and about music, about marketing, and he always is very
Oh,
well reflected. So that's a good thing to have in your life. Then I have the guy who hired me for my job at Bestware, who's called Warren Daniels, who's fantastic when I have a problem or if I don't know what to do to sort of map out what do you need to do, what are the steps you need to take to get there. I have the VP of a company called InScale, who's called Nils Völk, who is also one of the sharpest people I know. And he's kind of, I'm a soft person, but he's kind of a no bullshit kind of person. So, so he helps me a lot on that end as well. And he has a very strong background in sales. He's a very good salesperson as well, and understands, the whole dynamic between sales and marketing. So sometimes I reach out to him. Frank Leroux, who's here in Ivalua, I really feel like he's very inspiring. Every time we have a meeting where he's present, I'm listening like crazy to everything he says. And my new boss, Steve Bonadio, he's also really, really good at like putting things in perspective for me. He's very calm and collected. He's very outcome focused and very, very smart. So I'm really lucky to have a network like this to draw on, and that they always say you can always contact us if you have any questions. And I collect sharp people, and if I see someone that I think would be good at progressing my journey or progressing my knowledge or strengthening my weaknesses as a marketeer, I'm not afraid to really reach out to them and say, hey, I find you very inspiring. Would you mentor me? Even though it's always a bit frightening to do because you can get a no, or people can be like, I don't have the time, but I think even if you don't get a yes, at least you get to tell people that you think they're inspiring, and I think that's a good thing to share as well.
that is a thing that motivates you for work. Like I what I feel is when you see them uh, like inspiring that that is a thing you start with your day, like your day, and you end up with the satisfaction that I did something in the whole day or this whole week or whole month, and that
Yeah,
really progresses your graph as a
yeah, it's like
personality, as a career, as a everything.
yeah, it's the little things. It's like the little page you did for me today. It made me so happy with, my image and welcome to Maria. I mean, that's a little thing you can do for each other. Like you did a great job. It inspires me when you do this. I'm working with a guy named Mohammed. He is like one of the best people in Excel I've ever seen, and he takes the time to teach me new formulas. it means a lot to me. It's something I
Yeah,
can take
definitely.
with me, so
Definitely.
yeah.
So with this question, I don't want to, but I would like to wrap the session, end up the session as we have time constraint. But yeah, thank you so much, Maria, for joining us today and sharing your knowledge with us and our global audience. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining us in this Growth Fit interview series. Thank you.